Good afternoon. Myself, Janvi Jani, from Department of Nutrition and Dietetics from Parul University. I am here with Dr. Kiran Shinglot, sir, who is a good uh, instructor for good knowledge of yoga. Simultaneously, he is occupying a profession name for family care physician, pediatrician, head counselor of Yoga Niketan from MS University. So, no, I don't want to waste more time for hearing him. So, please, sir, you can start your webinars and please transfer us your good knowledge to our viewers. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Janvi Madam. I thank Parul University and the entire team and the Department of Dietetics and Nutrition for inviting me to deliver a talk on the current pandemic of COVID-19 and the management of its stress through yoga. I qualify to talk on this issue because of two reasons. Number one, I have been a frontline warrior in COVID management and training in Baroda ever since it started in March. And I also feel little proud to share with you that I and my wife, both of us are elderly couple, and both of us are, we suffered from COVID-19 around 1.5 months back and have recovered. In spite of our old age, we stayed at home, take care, self-care, and we recovered. And partly I'm going to share my experience of dealing with COVID-19 with you. The mankind sees from time to time various disasters, natural and man-made. Natural in the form of earthquake about 20 years back, and then the flood very frequently. Man-made disasters are also very common for last 100 years. We know of 2 world wars, first and second, and atomic bombardment in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They were man-made. But I remind you of a very exactly 100 years back. We started in Europe and swept through the entire globe. And that pandemic was known as the Spanish flu. And right now you're seeing the picture of a ward in America where hundreds of patients of flu were admitted. It was a big disaster and about 60 million people died that time. And now we have a similar kind of pandemic. We started roughly in December 2019. All of you know the history. It started in a small city in China known as Wuhan in Hubei state. And from there, in a span of 3 months, it spread throughout the world. And as we know now, it has swept through about 216 countries. And it entered our country on 30th of January. We happen to be second in the world in terms of the cases of COVID. Various terminologies of COVID, you know, this disease was initially known as the corona disease, the SARS coronavirus 2 disease, and now we are officially recognizing this disease as COVID-19. which is coronavirus disease 2019, because it started precisely in 2019 December in China. The number of cases of COVID in world have crossed today 38 million, with the death figure of more than 1 million, which means 10 lakhs. United States of America stands to be number 1 in the list of cases and also in the number of deaths. But as you know, India is number 2 today. And we have, as on today, about 72 lakhs cases of COVID-19 throughout the country. And the reported number of deaths are about 1.11 lakhs. The fourth country is Brazil, but we are number 2. What I'm going to talk to you about is the 19 on the population. You know, any disease, any pandemic, any disaster that begins will always create what is called an emotional spiral. What we do is first we deny that this disease will not enter in India because we are a pious country, we take care of our population. So initially we deny occurrence of the disorder. There are people who still say today that COVID-19 is not a disease, it's a non-entity, it does not exist. It's a havoc created, it's a hoax created, it's a kind of ghost created, you cannot see it. So people deny existence of COVID-19. We are in shock. You know, during lockdown and following opening of lockdowns, there's a lot of chaos in the country. When you open lockdown, there were a lot of chaos, and there's disbelief. There is anger towards the Chinese people, thinking that they created the epidemic and caused so much political, economic, social turmoil the world over. So we feel like taking revenge against them. So entire population and individuals will have several emotional reactions, responses in their mind. At times we feel guilty also. For example, if I caught COVID-19, I felt guilty because I did not take enough care of myself, my wife. I did not protect myself, I did not protect her. So there can be guilt reaction, there can be confusion. So we pass through a number of negative emotions. But after so many months of the pandemic, now we have started accepting the disease, already started living with it. Our work has started, our outings have started, we have started going to restaurants, workplaces, etc. So now we have accepted that there is a pandemic in the country and the globe, and we have also accepted that we have to fight against this disease for the time to come. There is optimism and hope. We are waiting for the vaccine to come, effective medicines to come. So there are negative emotions and there are positive emotions. So negative emotions, I am mainly because I'm going to talk about the role of yoga in management of COVID-19 stress. Mainly, we have to tackle with the anxiety of COVID. Anxiety, then we have to tackle with the depression. So how does yoga help us in tackling anxiety and depression? And better will be if we accept the disease, the pandemic, start taking actions, learn important lessons from it, and wait for the scientists to develop an effective vaccine to fight against the disease. So there are stages of emotional responses. In natural disasters, in man-made disasters, and in pandemics like this. And every population has to learn to live with the emotional reactions following the pandemic. which we are right now doing. And I'm going to tell you precisely how yoga is going to help you combat your negative emotions. Remember well, I'm not going to focus only on COVID because COVID is one issue today. But in our lifetime, we get many challenges, many threats, many such scary events, and we have to be prepared for them. So we have to develop short-term stress management techniques and long-term stress management techniques. We have a number of tools, techniques, methods, and strategies to fight short-term stress and long-term stress. But I'm going to focus mainly on yoga and how does it help us in short-term management of COVID-19 stress and long-term in case we face such situations again in future. What is unique about COVID-19 pandemic? The first thing is there is no cure. It's a viral disease. This virus has newly evolved. And even after about 9 months of the pandemic, we do not have an effective cure. Not many drugs are tried, you know. Hydroxychloroquine is being tried, azithromycin is being tried. There are homeopathy medicines being tried. There are Ayurvedic claims of cure being put. But as on now, the scientific fact states that COVID-19 has no cure. Not only that, there is no vaccine available. And as the WHO projects, for another 1 year from now, there is not going to be any vaccine. So we have to fight this disease without a medicine and without a vaccine. So a very important question why I am asked to talk to you is, has Yog any role in COVID-19 management? I've been seeing lot many advertisements about yoga for lockdown, yoga for COVID-19. Lot many claims are being put. I have 3 questions to answer. Number 1, has yoga any role to play? Yogic practices have any role to play in preventing COVID-19? Is it curative? Because people claim that yoga can cure any disease from hypertension and coronary to common cold, chronic cold, and cancer. Lot many curative claims are being put for yogic practices. So is yoga a curative remedy for COVID-19? And lastly, persons like me who have recovered from COVID-19 successfully, has it a rehabilitative role? So very briefly speaking, yoga has a part role in preventing. So if you adopt yogic techniques regularly, not when you fall sick of COVID-19 or when you are scared of it, yoga has to be adopted in your lifestyle. If you adopt yogic practices very regularly, then it is likely that it has a preventive role to play. Yoga has a doubtful curative role to play. Doubtful because yoga is not curative, it is not a medicine, it is not a therapeutic discipline, it is not a science. But still, during your COVID-19 isolation, either you are in your hospital or at your home, and you practice some basic practices, relaxation techniques, and meditative practices, yoga can possibly help you in curing yourself. But I see I'm exploring right now the rehabilitative role. I'm trying to work out a schedule of yoga in which yogic postures, yogic breathing exercises, and yogic meditative practices will be combined in the form of a package for patients of COVID who have recovered in last so many months. So does yoga help in, because COVID-19 damages your lungs, damages the oxygenation of your bodily tissues, including the brain. So lot many harmful effects, after effects of COVID-19 are now being studied, particularly on your respiratory system, on your cardiac system, and on your brain system. So if we employ yogic practices regularly after recovering from COVID-19, can it help in rehabilitation? And the answer can be partly yes. So that's about the preventive, curative, and rehabilitative cure of yoga. Before I talk about everything in little detail, why do we feel stressful with this pandemic? Because there are psychological hazards of corona disease or SARS coronavirus 2 disease, because we have first time heard about lockdowns. Okay, so nearly for 2 months you have lived under lockdowns, and it has caused a lot of psychological impact on you, which you will not be able to overcome for days to come, months to come in your life. You'll always be scared or fear about similar lockdowns in future. First time about social distancing, you have to keep away from other persons. We are Indians, we love festivities. We right now is the time of festivities, and unfortunately we cannot gather, we cannot create crowds, because if you don't observe social distancing, COVID-19 can play a havoc. So for the first time in our life, we are hearing about lockdowns, social distancing, isolation, quarantine. If a person is suffering from quarantine, when I was suffering from COVID-19, we were isolated in our house. Even our society houses, people, our neighbors were reluctant to talk to us, look at us. So when you are isolated, you feel horrible about it. So this is going to cause psychological trauma to you. So with COVID-19, people who have suffered, people who have not suffered, people who have lost their family members, people who read newspaper stories of COVID figures, statistics, deaths, and etc., develop emotional issues in the form of fear and terror, perceived danger, frustration. There are physical issues we have seen in the form of headaches, muscle tensions, palpitation, which is called rapid heart rate, then tremors, gastrointestinal issues such as diarrhea. They are very common, and these are stress. I am describing to you the stress orchestra or symptoms of stress of COVID-19 in people who have not suffered from COVID-19. So we have physical problems, we have emotional issues, we have behavioral issues in the form of the use of mask is compulsory, but at times we take risk and don't use the mask. We go to crowds, we assemble, we cause meetings. We last Sunday only in Baroda, restaurants were overcrowded. So we have started taking risk without realizing that this disease is still running in the country, and sooner or later we are going to be number one in the globe in terms of cases of COVID. So we have stopped using masks, sanitizers, social distancing, etc. We don't follow orders. So these are behavioral issues, because we feel that we are invincible. We are invincible and nothing is going to happen to us. And there are cognitive problems also. And we have stopped, we have kind of developed difficulty in clear thinking, disorientation. It is called brain fog. The COVID-19 patients are known to develop brain fogging. But what I'm seeing is the entire country, the entire population has developed brain fogging. They are not able to decide right and wrong. So these are cognitive problems of COVID-19. COVID-19 will cause a lot of anxiety in us, a lot of panic. And the panic is, the anxiety is, worries is, will I catch infection? Will my loved one catch COVID-19 infection? And worries related to even minor symptoms. If you get little fever, little sore throat, little difficulty in breathing or chest pain, you always feel scared that I got COVID-19. So people are very, very worried. And the fact is compounded, our worries are compounded because, as I told you earlier, COVID-19 has no cure, no prevention. There is going to be contamination obsession. People now will always suspect that my hands are dirty, I touched something and I'm carrying the COVID-19 viruses. So you keep on cleaning your hands frequently. So this is going to be a psychological, psychiatric issue with us. This is called contamination obsession, about hand washing, about cleaning, about sterilizing. And the disease is called obsessive compulsive disorder. So I'm seeing this. The moment you enter a bank premise or a mall or a superstore premise, immediately you are checked, you are prevented from entering, feeling that you have fever, you must be harboring COVID-19 viruses. So you are forced to hand wash. When you come back home, people always follow a ritual of taking bath. Okay, so everybody will advise you that if you come home from outside, take a bath first and wash your clothes first before you mix up with your family member. This is called contamination obsession. There are going to be mood swings. And remember, I'm not talking about individuals. The entire population is going to suffer from these psychological problems in the time to come. And these psychological problems will stay with us even after the COVID-19 pandemic goes. So mood swings, anger and short-temperedness, phobia-like symptoms, panic-like symptoms which I just described. So you're always anxious, always worried, always fearful. And there's an entity called post-traumatic stress disorder following natural disasters, man-made disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and wars, and murders, rapes. People go into what is called post-traumatic stress disorder. They mentally rehearse that this thing is going to come back. COVID-19 will go away one day. But still we'll always live under a fear, under a mental rehearsal that the disease or some other disease of a similar kind is going to come again. So this is called post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. It is very likely to affect a large number of people in our country, about 8 to 10%, they claim. So there are signs of mental health disturbances I'm seeing right now as a doctor in general population, in patients, and we need to be careful about that. Mainly, I would like to remind you that we'll have to take care of our children because first time they're confined to homes. There is learning from home. They cannot go to schools. They cannot play with their friends. And they're isolated at home. And there is a virtual learning now. And this is going to cause a terrible impact on their minds, learning minds. So these children are likely to develop poor school performance. They might avoid school in future because they'll fear, like when there was a AIDS pandemic, many young children used to avoid going to school feeling that the school toilets are carrying AIDS viruses. Now these children, once they go back to school after the COVID-19 epidemic, they'll fear that the benches, the chairs, the doors, the doorknobs, the bathroom tapes, they're carrying COVID viruses. So they might likely avoid going to school in future. There'll be problem with their eating and sleeping now also and in future also. They won't enjoy activities that they used to enjoy in past. So there are not many going to be problems in school-going children and particularly teenagers. So lastly, very briefly, I'm going to talk to you about how are you going to tackle these mental health issues. of COVID-19, particularly using yoga as a strategy. So, some basic tips I'll first tell you. First of all, when I'm talking about social distancing, I recommend you to connect with your friends and family who are away from you using modern technology, mobile phones, video calls, etc. So keep connected, but disconnect from fake news, excessive information that is being circulated on social media, such as WhatsApp, Facebook, newspapers, etc. So disconnect, plan a routine, because right now you have a lot of time. You don't have to go to your schools and colleges. You have to learn from home. I have to be at home only now. So a lot of spare time with me. In that time, I lose total control over my daily routine. So it is very important that you maintain a daily routine and find a time to unwind, which means relax and enjoy the things that you never did in your life. So this is the time to be very regular in your lifestyle and find out ways and means and things that you enjoy, that you want to do. For example, learning music, learning painting. You get a lot of time right now because you don't have to socialize, don't have to go out, don't have to go to parties, restaurants, movies. So you get a lot of time. That time should be used in your hobbies and passions. Don't forget them. Don't forget to exercise well, and I'm going to talk to you about the role of yoga in exercising. Sleep well, putting your worries aside, be compassionate, because there are poor people who are badly affected because of COVID-19, and there are people who need your help. So if you are confined to your home and you are maintaining social distancing, still reach out to people who need your help. So yoga is all about helping people who need your help. It's not caring just for yourself. So yoga is not simply performing yogic asanas or practicing pranayama and meditation, etc. It is helping out. It's called karma yoga. So there are people who need your help, and I'm reaching out to them in spite of being old. Already I have suffered from COVID-19, but still I don't confine myself to my home and reach out to people who need my help. That they need you. And stop. Stop means you are doing so many things outside your home. Barely used to come back home. Now is the time when you should stop your wandering outside. Sit quietly. Learn to take deep breaths. Be positive in your mind. These are some basic tips. And now I'm very quickly going to talk to you about how you can use yoga for relaxation and recharge. Super, we were very busy. I was a very busy doctor, a very busy professional, a very busy teacher. You were a very busy student. You ever had time for your own self? And you never sat at home quietly with your parents, with your grandparents. So, as Blaise Pascal said, man's difficulties are caused by his inability to sit quietly in a room by himself. It's a beautiful statement, very old, but this statement tells you that you need to learn to sit quietly in your room. This is kind of physical distancing. Sensual distancing, keep away from people. You need to spare some time with yourself, 1 hour, half an hour, 15 minutes, 2 hours. And COVID has given you this time in lockdowns and social distancing. So how do you do that? So I'm not going to enter into the history of yoga, but yoga is about 5,000 years old. Ancient Vedic Indian wisdom. And it is a mind-body and holistic system. Mind-body, basically it works on mind-body relationship. So if you correct mental patterns, your anxieties and worries, your tenseness, if you correct your mind, your body will stay healthy. So this is called mind-body axis. So through yogic techniques, I'm going to briefly tell you how you're going to correct your mind, mental patterns, your worries, your apprehensions, your anxieties, and in the process going to make your body healthy and improve your immune functioning. You know that yoga is a holistic system. It takes care of your body, of your mind, of your social relationships, and of your spiritual aspect also. So yoga works on body, mind, and soul relationship. It is a mind-body medicine. And how do you employ it? So the key word that we teach in yoga is, this is a very famous quote from Bhagavad Gita. It says, Samatvam yoga uchyate. Samatvam is balance. Balance your life. So how many hours do you sleep? So there are several things you need to balance. That is your diet. So balance your diet. Well, take care of your entertainment, exercise, etc. This is called VR. So take care of your diet. You are a student of diet. Many of you are a student of dietetics and nutrition. So take care of your diet. So yoga will teach you what to eat and what not to eat. So you know that vitamin C rich food, protein rich food boosts up our immunity and protects against most viral diseases. So take care of your diet, take care of your entertainment. Just don't work day and night like a donkey, but take care of your entertainment, take care of your exercises, take care of your work. Chestasya karmashu. Take care of swapna. Swapna is sleep. You need to sleep for 7 to 8 hours. People who sleep less, for example, 4 to 5 hours, in order to work more, will always have compromised white blood cell count in their blood, and they'll fall prey to COVID-19 and other viral infections very easily. So you need to sleep adequately, about 7 to 8 hours every day, and 8 hours of sleep and 16 hours of waking up. And during that waking up, you need to take care of your work, your entertainment and exercise, and your diet. So taking care of 20 daily routine taken care booster power. So take care of your only your dhyan is different to steps, out of which asana is one, pranayama is next, and dhyan or meditation is third. So basically, the yogic prescription of stress management focuses on asanas that will help you develop your muscle strength, flexibility, and body alignment. Yogic deep breathing exercises or pranayam will help you controlling your breath and improving oxygenation to the bodily tissues. If you deprive your bodily systems and cells of oxygen, your stress level will increase, your immunity will go down, and you will fall sick. So enough oxygen for your system is assured through pranayam. Then you have meditation, that is for controlling your apprehensions, worries, anxiety, and depression. So that is controlling your thought waves and your mind. So I'm going to focus mainly on yogic postures, pranayam, and meditation for yogic stress management. Yogic postures or yogic asanas are innumerable in number, and there's a science of yogic postures. They help you improve your flexibility, your balance, your overall sense of well-being, your muscular relaxation. They build up your muscular strength, and they help you focus and concentrate more. So there are innumerable yogic postures. Yogic postures also have a role to play in patients of COVID who are recovered. So we are now, as I said you earlier, making a package of yoga for patients who are recovered from yoga. So these postures will help them relax more, keep their body in tune, stretch, improve their muscle power and balance, and relax their body. So that's about the yogic posture. The best stress inoculator is supposed to be Shavasana. Excellent asana. Everyone should need to learn about it. So Shavasana, whether I'm talking about COVID-19 stress management or stress management on a long run for students, working class of people, housewives, and executives, and so many people, Shavasana is a very good stress inoculator. Everybody must learn it. Shavasana can help you, rightly done. Shavasana can help you relieve your anxiety, relieve your worries. Then, very important is the yogic breathing techniques. If you inhale deeply, using a beautiful muscle that you are given by nature, this muscle sits between your chest and abdomen. This muscle is called diaphragm, Udarpatal. So, this muscle, if you use beautifully, adequately, you get the training of using this muscle in yoga, pranayam, yogic pranayam. So through deep breathing, you can fill in adequate oxygen to your bodily cells and eliminate carbon dioxide adequately. So enough oxygenation and complete elimination of carbon dioxide is assured by yogic pranayam. So everybody must practice this. This is a beautiful technique or strategy taught by yoga to the populations. So Shavasana and Pranayam, yogic deep breathing, are excellent techniques. So deep breathing from nose to the navel and exhale from your navel up to the nose. So deep breathing is an important way, and there are many yogic breathing techniques. Two of them are shown here. These are called Shivanand breathing and Anulom Vilom breathing. So through an experienced teacher, you can learn scientific ways of such breathing techniques and improve your breathing for stress management. Lastly, a brief reference about meditation. So meditation is prescribed in yoga. It's one of the limbs of yoga, and you have to do it in Padmasana. But in modern times, you don't need to learn Padmasana to do meditation or Dhyan. You can do meditation in your office, in your reading room, in your library. So there are sitting meditations in chair. Even if you're working, you can relax, sit and practice meditation. So meditation is described as sitting still, which you can do in your chair, in your sofa, in a silent corner in your room, or even in a library while you are reading. So it is sitting still, doing nothing, and resting your mind particularly. So meditation can help you relieve your anxiety and relieve your depression, relieve your aggressive feelings such as anger, rage, hostility, etc. So it's a wonderful tool. Yogi meditation practiced regularly. If you devote just 10 to 15 minutes every day, once or twice in a day, your bodily systems will slow down, because normally when you're running, you're working, you are tense, you are driving, you are talking, you are quarreling with someone, you are in a hypermetabolic state. Hypermetabolic is your heart is pounding, your breathing is fast and uneven, your bodily systems are very tense, your blood pressure is high. So you are always in a kind of hyper-excited state. It's called hypermetabolic state. When you practice meditation, it is hypometabolic, which means your breathing rate slows down, your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure goes down, and the oxygen requirement of bodily tissues also reduce. So it's a hypometabolic state. And meditation is known to increase your bodily immune power and causes profound physical relaxation and gives you calm and serene state of your mind. So I give you a very brief prescription of practicing yogic postures, a small list of them, just 6 or 8 or 10 of them. Then 2 or 3 deep breathing practices and a small technique of meditation that will help you improve your biological systems. I'm going to wind up shortly now. These are called neurobiological effects, which means your brain system will improve your bodily system, because you know that brain is the commander of your body. And if you improve your brain power using meditation and yoga, it will affect all the remaining 11 systems in your body. This is called neurobiological effects. Neuroelectrical effects means the electrical waves in your brain become better. They are called alpha waves. If you are very tense, you will have beta waves. And if you are meditating, you are practicing yoga, your brain will have what is called alpha waves. So you are calm, serene, and peaceful, even if you are working. This is called neuroelectrical effect. There are going to be neurochemical good effects and neurobehavioral effects. I'm briefly going to describe them before I end up. I hope you know about an automatic pilot in your system, in your brain. That is called autonomic nervous system. And it has 2 wings. One is called sympathetic system. It is summoned when you are fighting stress in your daily life. So sympathetic system becomes active when you are under stress. And right now, currently, we are talking about the COVID-19 stress for 19 months. So, which means for nine months, your sympathetic system is over-activated, hyperactive, which means your blood pressure will be high, your pulse rate will be high, you won't be able to sleep peacefully at night because this system is working. We need to rest this system. To rest this system, there is another system called parasympathetic system. It is a peacemaking system. So, for example, when you are enjoying your food, a passionate activity, drawing, singing, music, or nature walk, or sky gazing, your parasympathetic system becomes active and you feel calm and peaceful. So, you need to learn to activate your parasympathetic system whenever you have to perform well. So yoga will teach you, this is called the neurobiological effect of yoga. So it will activate your parasympathetic system and tone down your sympathetic system. The neurochemical effects. There are 2 types of hormones or chemicals secreted in our brain. There are negative hormones. They are called epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, and lactic acid. They make us tense. They make our bodily muscles tense. They increase our blood pressure, and they make our bodily systems haywire, in chaos. So when you are tense, these hormones are secreted. They are called negative hormones of stress, the stress chemicals. But when you practice meditation and yoga, endorphins, melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, GABA and DHEA are the hormones which are called happiness hormones, relaxation hormones. They make your body calm and serene, your mind focused and concentrated. So yoga and meditation will help you secrete good hormones in body, positive hormones in your body, hormones of happiness in your body, and cut down on negative hormones. If your negative hormones are secreted too much, your immune power will go down and you'll fall sick. You'll catch COVID-19. If a person catches COVID-19 and if he's under the influence of stress hormones, he will take a lot of time to recover. Whereas a person with positive chemical makeup, constitution, will fall sick seldom, and even if he falls sick, he will recover faster. So, with the practice of yoga and meditation, you can become calm, serene. This is called neurobehavioral effect. Your behavioral will altogether change. But remember, to end my talk, Practicing yoga for just 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a shibir, in a class, and then forgetting about this do not cause these positive effects. If you want a lifetime influence on your systems of becoming calm, serene, equanimous, fearless, relaxed, and poised, whether in exams, whether in pandemics, whether in natural disasters, whether in a family ceremony, you need to practice yoga and meditation for a fairly long period of time, or let me say, lifetime. So your behavior will improve, your panic will go down, your aggressive will be under control, your rage, fearfulness, anxiety, and tension will be completely relieved. So yoga and meditation causes powerful change in your behavioral patterns. So that's why we need to practice them very regularly. So this, in the end, there's a small prescription I'm giving you in order to manage your stress holistically on a short-term basis and on a long-term basis. As I said, COVID is a temporary calamity that has come on mankind. This calamity, I do not know. I am not a forecaster. I do not know when will it go. But taking advantage of this situation, we need to learn long-term stress management techniques. So today we learn breath watching, deep breathing, progressive relaxation, the yogic way. Learn Shavasana, progressive muscular relaxation techniques, meditation, visualization and hypnosis, etc. This gives you a comprehensive prescription of long-term stress management in your life. So to end my talk, some key messages. Right now is the time mankind is facing unprecedented, because during Spanish flu time also lockdowns were not exercised everywhere. Isolation was not practiced at that time. Physical distancing was not common that time. Right now is an unprecedented time. So much economic breakdown, social breakdown of our entertainment activities. So this is the time when we need to stay home, stay safe, observe physical distancing. The word used is social distancing, but I object to that word. It is not social distancing. You don't need to maintain social distancing, physical distancing. Keep a minimum distance of 3 feet. Ideal will, even if there is no COVID in future, because we make crowds, we hang on to each other, we touch our bodies. This is not so physical distancing, but staying connected with your dear ones using digital techniques. So practice physical distancing, live a regular life, exercise regularly, whether you use bicycle, walking. You cannot go to swimming pools right now, I understand, but practicing yogic asanas, Surya Namaskar at home is a beautiful way of indoor exercising. So go for walk or indoor exercising through Surya Namaskar and yogic postures. Limit your exposure to social media and COVID-19 related news. Be spiritual, pray, practice deep breathing, practice meditation, and practice yoga regularly. Remember, we are scared right now. Even I am scared. I feel scared. I'm scared of catching the disease again once I recover. But supposing the disaster may again, this too shall pass. Flu 118 took 18 months to go away. We do not know when will the COVID-19 pandemic go. But as long as it is there with us, we are here to learn important lessons from it. It's a teacher who has come to teach us something. We pick up important lessons and we learn to tide over the pandemic in future. Okay. Giving to talk to you about stress management and for the little technical hitch that I had in the initial phase. Thank you so much. And Janvi madam, I hand over the mic to you.
Thank you so much, sir. The presentation and your information was so helpful to us. Simultaneously, all the viewers, those who are viewing and listening to you. Sir, a single question I would like to ask you is that what will you recommend to students, the college students, school students, those who are right now stuck in their house, and they are not knowing the basics of yoga, how to do, what to do. So can you just give me a short, crisp guideline about them?
Yeah, we can have a package. I'm going to prescribe only yoga. So some basic yogic asanas, deep breathing practices, and meditation. So a small package of regular practice of about half an hour of yoga every day, 15 minutes of half an hour. If they can learn, if they are ready, we at Yognikirtan are ready to train them. And if they volunteer, we will run classes for them. Okay? So
Okay, sir.
yoga is to be learned. You cannot learn yoga through a book or a television screen, etc., or a YouTube video. So if people are ready, Yognikirtan volunteers to run online classes. Okay, they may be free of charge for 15 days or something. I'm ready.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That would be the great favor from you guys, from you and Yognikirtan for our university and department, sir. And sir, your all the things were so clear and so self-explanatory by you also. So we don't have any more questions from our side, sir. And I'm glad to say that this webinar was really, really very useful for us. And I hope we will see you soon with more new topics and more new knowledge from your side, sir.
Yeah, sure. So hope to see you again. Huh?
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thanks to all students and staff and everyone. Bye.
Thanks.